Hero shooters are one of my favorite genres of video games. I'm not exactly sure why, but I'm guessing it probably has something to do with the diverse cast of characters, each with their own unique abilities, weapons, and personalities, that end up creating a dynamic and enjoyable gameplay experience. Or maybe I just really hate myself. It really could be either one, honestly. I'm thinking it's about a good 50-50 split between both. Nonetheless, I think that hero shooters are probably one of the most fun genres in video games, or at least for me. But what exactly makes a good hero shooter? Well, hero shooters are a well-known subgenre of the classic first-person shooter. This subgenre emphasizes the use of specific characters or heroes with unique abilities or skills. These heroes are typically divided into different classes, each having their own roles on the team, which are all one way or another dependent on each other. These classes are usually separated into a few categories of gameplay. There's the damage dealers, the support, and the heavy tanks. With the damage dealers, your goal is to try and deal as much damage per second, while also trying to flank and secure the objective, whether it be capturing a control point, pushing a cart, or just killing as many enemies as possible. With the support class, your goal is to attempt to provide, surprise surprise, support. It can be by healing your teammates or controlling an area that will help the team in any way possible, like sentries, shields, or just simple pest control. Finally, there's the heavy tank class, which specializes in creating a foundation for pushes and holding an area with their usual high health and strong defense, similar in aspects to parts of the support class, but more built on the idea of taking control of the situation, as well as eliminating any threats to your team. Some popular hero shooters include Overwatch, Team Fortress 2, and Valorant. These games have gained popularity in recent years, in part due to their focus on team-based gameplay and the strategic use of hero abilities. Let's be honest, I could continue telling you everything Wikipedia says about hero shooters verbatim, but I'd rather talk about the different games that take up the hero shooter title, and their differences along with my opinion on them. I know, an opinion on the internet, absolutely terrifying, burn it with fire. Anyways, I'll try my best to analyze every game on my list today to give you a better understanding of not only these games, but the hero shooter genre in general. Obviously, if you enjoy this video, please hit the like and subscribe button. Anyways, that's all I have to say. Good luck. You'll need it.
Alright. I say,
To begin this whole escapade off, I'm gonna start with Titan Fort Fall Night. Bit of a weird name choice for a game, but hey, I'm not one to judge. The reason I'm starting with this game is because I think it's one that summarizes the hero shooter genre in a way that could be easily understood. This is the only game that I'll be talking about that is a battle royale, but that shouldn't change anything in terms of topic-wise rather than gameplay-wise. I don't particularly like battle royales too much, but I think that Apex somewhat makes up for it with its colorful cast of legends and semi-enjoyable abilities. If you remember earlier in the video, I talked about roles and their purposes and how they should be played. That correlates almost the same to Apex's class system for legends, is what I would have said, but while I was writing the script, I checked it again and it seems like they changed the class system. I don't think this was a bad thing. Anything that gets Pathfinder or the Recon class is never a bad thing, but I'm not entirely sure it was 100% necessary. But I like that it does give variety in terms of class passives instead of just making classes for the purpose of making classes. I'm just gonna go along with it and explain to you the new classes. Alright, we got Assault, Skirmisher, Recon, Controller, and Support. The new classes kinda just look like they split the Assault class in half, changed the name of the tank, and pulled cards out of a hat to choose what characters go into what classes. But even then, I can still kind of understand what they were trying to do with it. So here's an extremely basic rundown of all the classes. The Assault class is heavily based upon the idea of racking up constant damage and using utilities to make sure you're continuously racking up that said damage. It's a pretty simple concept made even simpler due to the creation of the Skirmisher class, which relies on the idea of using your enhanced mobility tactics to gain an advantage during a fight. Or just using those same mobility tactics to run in the exact opposite direction, which leads to your skirmisher teammate running directly into the nearest fight at Mach speed, acting like they're playing the world's worst bullet hell ever created. It truly gives you perspective on the left brain right brain myth, except the entire brain is a Wraith or Octane main. The support class is relatively the same as it always has been, with the idea of healing your teammates and supplying them with as much love and support as you possibly can, before they inevitably alt F4 because you didn't love them enough to keep them from getting killed. Controller is just tank with a mustache, comically large glasses, and clown makeup to hide the fact that half of the legends got switched to literally any other class for absolutely no reason. The Recon class is just that one guy who pretends their callouts are doing more than they actually are. Also, 75% of the legends in the Recon class have a flying pet, and I think that's really funny. Personally, I think that Apex is probably some of the most fun abilities in hero shooters, and integrates them into a battle royale probably better than any other game could. The movement in the game allows for some fun experiences that could forge memories for anybody that might grow up playing the game. But also the heirloom system exists, so that contradicts everything I said about this game, so I'm changing topic. If you you watched my TF2 video essay, then you probably have a good idea of how I feel about Overwatch, so I don't think I need to explain that any further. The game obviously took a lot of inspiration from TF2, maybe a little too much, but other than being a Rule 34 category, Overwatch is probably one of the most well-known hero shooters that exist, and will probably stay that way. I do think that Overwatch had and still does have an impact on the hero shooter genre as a whole, and that I can respect. It's not really worth it to talk about the classes in Overwatch just because it is so tremendously cookie cutter that it will probably just be me reciting the beginning again, so instead I'll talk about the core gameplay. I think that Overwatch, and especially Overwatch 2's maps, are actually fun to play on, but personally, I think that the most fun part of Overwatch are the community-made game modes. There's definitely a variety to different community-made game modes, from something as simple as Floor is Lava to one abusive father versus 11 children, which is surprisingly more fun than it sounds, or at least I hope it is. The community games are pretty fun and diverse, although I think that there needs to be much more freedom when it comes to creating community games, because right now it kind of seems like each game modes feel limited asset-wise. I think that there are a lot of other people that can tell you about Overwatch specifically better than I could, I would assume. But I still think that Overwatch has many problems, same as any game, but I also think it makes up for it by creating extremely memorable characters and interactive abilities that make the game 10 times better creatively wise. For a lot of people, Overwatch might have been their first hero shooter, and might have inspired them to play other games that might correlate to it. But I wasn't one of them, so I'm changing topic. Dodged a bullet there. Anyways, what's next? Ah, fuck.
For every kill you get, I'll give you I'm SpongeBob.
Alright, bet.
I'm SpongeBob. I'm SpongeBob. I'm SpongeBob. I'm SpongeBob. Oh, and he's I'm SpongeBob.
When I first played Valorant, I was not really impressed. Keep in mind, I was already not in a good mood because I spent an hour trying to figure out how to enable Secure Boot in TPM 2.0 so that I could actually play the game in the first place. Like, why would my PC not have TPM 2.0 enabled? That just seems counterproductive, it makes no sense. Once I decided to play it a little bit more, I kind of understood it a little. I mean, I wanted to gouge my eyes out after every match, but in a sentimental, slightly more understanding way. Although, I'm not the biggest fan of the maps in the game. Don't get me wrong, I don't think that they're the worst, but I definitely don't think that they're the best. To be fair, there aren't that many maps in rotation at a time, but that only makes it worse because how many times can you play Icebox in a row before you start crying until your body begins to dry up and be more akin to a raisin than anything else? 3 times. It takes 3 Icebox games in a row before that happens. But even with the maps that are there right now, I've never found myself saying, oh gee, I can't wait to get to play another match of Ascent, because I've already played it 30 times that day. I do think that with fewer maps, it allows the focus to be more on agent skill progression and gameplay strategies instead. At least when I'm playing a map, I have a basic idea of what I need to do, and if I don't, I'm sure there's someone on my team that will tell me anyways. Either that or... The only problem with that is that once everyone knows what to do on every single map, every single match, there starts to be a lack of variety in gameplay styles. The only thing that I feel helps with that is the variety of different playstyles stemming from the different agents in the game. Overall, I think that Valorant is a decent game and has potential to be a better game. But on the other hand...
We have 3 announcements we'd like to make here for our loyal fans. The first is that we're shipping a brand new content update for Team Fortress 2. The sex update.
But I want it now!
Yeah, I'm talking about it again. I promised myself that I wouldn't for at least a few videos, but then again, if I'm gonna talk about hero shooters, then I guess I'm gonna have to bite the bullet. I've talked about TF2 to some extent already in the past, if I haven't already made that clear. Go watch those videos, by the way. But when I talked about it, it was more about the impact that it made on other games, rather than the actual gameplay itself. TF2 has many good things about it that make it the reason why it's one of my favorite games. While a lot of hero shooters focus on their continuous influx of new characters to play, TF2 prides itself on its 9 memorable characters. To make up for it, the game instead focuses its attention to the loadouts of said 9 characters. Some games might add new weapons to their game, but TF2 instead allows each class to have their own specific weapons and let you augment your class however you see fit. While there are weapons for characters that are solely made to be used to boost certain aspects of your gameplay, such as larger clip sizes or resistances to other characters, there are also weapons that completely change the way you might play your character. One second you might be flying across the map at Mach speed, and the next you're making people remember why the Middle Ages probably wasn't the best time period to live in. But the vast weapon choices and subclasses aren't the only highlights of this game. The community servers are also a major part of TF2, especially in the past few years. Community servers vary from new game modes that can only be made possible by the community itself. There are normal pubs for people who just want to play TF2 their own way, away from both casual and competitive. There are also a bunch of different weird and unusual servers that exist because I'm pretty sure someone out there sleeps easy at night knowing that a TF2 server completely texturized in Minecraft style exists for some reason. Either way, TF2 has an experience that is hard to find in many other games. I mean, what other game has 2 PvE game modes? My favorite part is how they hide it by putting it into all of my casual games. It truly is amazing where technology can get us. I mean, seriously, talking to Valve is like talking to a brick wall. Although, at least a brick wall gives support to the building it's holding up. Even with all this in mind, I believe that TF2 is probably one of the best hero shooters to exist. Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare is one of the world's best hero shooters ever created, if not the best hero shooter ever created. And no, we're not talking about the second one or whatever this was, we are talking about the OG, the absolute godsend of a game that has ever touched the earth. I'm talking about the one and only Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare. If I haven't already made it apparent, I love this game with all my heart. The reason why this game means so much to me is because it was one of the first games that ever introduced me to the entire genre of hero shooters in the first place. Trust me, I can continue to engage in this plant-themed circle jerk featuring me, myself, and I, but something tells me that's not why you're watching this video. Garden Warfare came out in 2014. It is basically a spin-off of the original Plants vs. Zombies tower defense game featuring the same cast of characters, but instead reimagined as a third-person shooter. Because I'm sure I speak for everybody when I say that when I was playing Plants vs. Zombies, the first thought that came to my head was, wow, this game is so fun. I could totally see it becoming a war-esque team-based shooter. Players can choose to play as either a plant or a zombie, each with their own unique abilities and weapons. The way this game implements both sides is perfect. It makes it fun to play on whatever side you pick, no matter what character you decide to play as. Except Chomper. If you play Chomper, I can only assume you're not having fun to begin with, so you decide to ruin my day as much as possible. The sound design in Garden Warfare is some of my favorite sound design in gaming. The sound effects for abilities all sound great and give impact on what you do. Every kill you get is rewarded with a satisfying pop that still floods my brain with dopamine to this day. You can buy sticker packs in the shop using coins you collect in the game, but you can also just buy coins themselves. It's an EA game, what were you expecting? There are different sticker packs that you can buy that differ from Plants and Zombies. Some sticker packs have potted plants in them that you can spawn in the multiplayer and zombie game modes, or character skins that have different attributes to them depending on the skin. If you don't want to play with character skins that have attributes, you can just play the classic versions of the game modes that remove the attributes from the skins while letting you still wear them. The Zombies mode is not only 20% of the title, give or take, but is also a great iteration of the Zombies game mode. The game mode is actually called Garden Ops, and the objective is to kill waves of zombies that come to attack your garden. As the waves progress, they get harder and harder until you're finally able to escape by hopping into Crazy Dave's candy van as you fly off into the sunset. It's a pretty basic cookie cutter rendition of a zombies game mode, but you know what they say, if it ain't broke, there's no point in making it Call of Duty Vanguard. The game does spice up a few things though, like being able to pop plants to act as sentries to fend off incoming zombies, and boss spins that give you random bosses to fight every couple rounds that adds to the already challenging harder waves. Overall, Garden Ops is a pretty good attempt at a zombies game mode, and it's just a good game mode to play when you're not playing Team Vanquish or Gardens and Graveyards. Before you asked, the reason I didn't talk about the newer installments of the Garden Warfare franchise is because I felt like talking about the original pretty much completely summarizes the entire franchise as a whole anyways. Also, I feel that the newer games as far as memorability wise didn't really have an impact on me compared to the original game. Now this doesn't mean that the games are worse gameplay wise, in fact I'm sure that both games have their own benefits whether it be maps, characters, or game modes. But if I had to talk about the one that I think had the most impact on the franchise, you can expect that I'm not going to choose Garden Warfare 2 or whatever this was. Anyways, those are all the games that I could think of. To be fair, I wrote the idea for this video and the games I would talk about right after waking up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat. You could probably say that the only reason I made this video was to express my love of bipedal plants. But no matter what, the hero shooter genre will always have a place in my heart, despite what game it is. It just happens to be that my favorite ones are the ones with chili grenades, walking sunflowers, and oh my god, I just realized that there's a zombie in the A of the title.